Spags, Best Ball Mania 4 is here. I have a few drafts under my belt, but it's our first head-to-head battle going for a $3 million top prize.
Yeah, Pete and I are already in the waiting room here. Best Ball Mania 4, as Pete mentioned, just opened on Saturday. Pete's done a few stream drafts. I've done a few off-stream drafts. We've got the takes ready to go. And Pete, I enjoyed your streams very much. It seems like, much like Best Ball Mania 4 is hitting its peak, so are you, and I'm glad to see it. And ride your coattails, too, along the way.
Yeah, it looks like you got the 1.5. I got the 1.9 here. I will say, like, doing this bit where all of my Best Ball Mania drafts have to be streamed, I am now getting so excited for every stream because if I didn't have this arbitrary rule, I probably would have done 5 or 6 other ones by now, just like excited to draft. And so these are my only opportunities to draft. So I'm very much looking forward to getting another one under my belt.
Do you want to guess which number this will be for me?
Man, I bet you blasted there pretty hard. I want to guess this is like number 11 for you.
Wow, very close. Number 10 for me on the nose.
Okay.
So drafted 8 over the weekend, drafted 1 this morning, had a great one this morning, actually, but I just wanted to get a feel for it because I kind of feel like, obviously, we can't all be, I saw Liam advertising 3 Best Ball Mania wins for himself on his headline.
I'm so glad you noticed that because I saw that title and I was like, does Liam need a copywriter or is he claiming that he's won Best Ball Mania 3 times?
I mean, look, creative for him. Seems like the views were there, so kudos to Liam. But point being, like, Liam won, Pat won, all that stuff. Like, I was a top 200 finalist last year. That's not quite going to do it. So we have to have our takes workshop. I think the only way you have the takes is actually playing a few tournaments and kind of getting a read for the room.
Yeah, no, it is. I was talking, Sam Sherman was talking in our ADP chasing chat of how it's like you feel so exposed when you're not doing drafts, like talking about these things. And I feel the same way. Like I have to be drafting to really get a feel for things. Otherwise, I'm just like completely flying blind.
Especially like the later pockets too, and where the rookies are going. I know you were trying to take Chase Brown today, and Chase Brown is one of those variable guys. And it's dumb because like Chase Brown might matter a lot. He might not matter at all. But I do think if you're out here putting content out there, like you got to be doing your drafts. You got to know where these pockets are going to line up. And Pete and I will only get better as we go. And I am in a predicament that you were in, actually, as I was watching Best Ball Breakfast, I was in the same predicament. I don't really like taking Travis Kelce in this range. I've seen Tyreek go in the 3 spot, so I'm actually going to take Tyreek here at number 5.
Yeah, I think it's completely fine. I think I'd probably take Cup over Tyreek, but I think this whole tier, like the Cup, Hill, Kelce, I think it's all pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I certainly don't mind Kelce, but so a lot changed. We did a stream on Friday. If you missed that one, go check it out. We declared basically our draft winners of round 1 because there were a good amount of offensive players going. And so much changed, Pete, from that Friday and Saturday where I think Rashee Rice, I wrote it up on Football Outsiders. I would encourage you guys to check out the article there where I gave a fantasy question for all 32 teams, basically. Rashee Rice is a guy that I think is the new Sky Moore, but you're on the clock, so we could talk about that in a sec.
Yeah. Let's see. Should I grab myself a little Bijan share here? That feels kind of fun.
I mean, great, because then I get Tyler Algier at 150 as a little leverage. Works out for everybody.
I have a feeling, Spags, that you're taking Tyler Algier regardless of my Bijan exposure.
I actually don't think I must have one share. I don't think I have a lot of Tyler Algier so far because I'm trying to control myself for when the dip fully materializes.
Yeah, you're gonna get much better prices, Spags. You got to show some restraint for now.
Yeah, my most exposed guy so far is actually Devin Singletary, and I have looks like 1 share of Tyler Algier so far.
Wow, that's actually impressive, Spags. I'm glad that you're showing some restraint here. I was trying to preach about ridding yourself of this take lock, and it seems like you really took that to heart.
Here we go. Here's the difference too. What we were just talking about. Brent saying, watch this guy live stream BBM4 yesterday, went through the whole draft, thinking it was super flex, just ripping QBs when nobody else was. Pete, you got to be careful with your YouTube views, I guess.
I don't want to like pile on, but will someone just tell me who it was? Because I kind of want to watch that stream. And trust me, I've made many dumb, embarrassing mistakes on stream. So like, I'm not going to throw stones from glass houses, but I do really want to know about that.
Darian Evans, it looks like. So if you want to go get a new best ball streamer in your life who's clearly doing better bits than we have in a year or two, Darian Evans is that guy.
I would say on my pick there, like the value pocket might have been running backs. Maybe I just don't like Barkley. I could have maybe reached for Pollard, but I don't want to get buried if this turns into an avalanche room. So I went ahead and took Waddle there.
I have no issue with taking Waddle at this point. I think he's still undervalued. Obviously, it would have been nice if he fell back to the Tyreek owner, but can't always get what we want here, Pete.
You can't. I do want to clarify, and I'll be making sure to clarify this on all my streams. Well, let me make you make this pick here.
I will never take Saquon Barkley. I don't care if he's at a discount. So I will, in fact, take another hot young prospect, Chris Olave, who I believe you also took at 20 in Best Ball Breakfast yesterday.
Yeah. And this is what I was just to speak to Max's comment here. Well, this comment for entry into the $500 thing. So yes, every single stream, whether I'm on Splash Play, my channel, Ship Chasing, whether you invite me on your stream to draft, that will count. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I basically said, I want to get to 15,000 subs on my channel. And every time, thank you for the full screen specs. Every time you leave a comment on one of my live stream BBM4 drafts, that will be one additional entry into the drawing. I'm going to do 3 winners, $500 each. I wasn't going to say when I hit 15,000 subs, I have created a playlist on my channel, and I will add every single live stream I do, regardless of where it is, to that channel. So yes, you must comment on this stream after if you want to get additional entries into the giveaway.
I've actually been thinking about moving us to like solo cam more, just so it looks more like a produced stream. And I knew that was going to be your exact reaction if I ever went full screen without disclosing it. So I'm glad that worked out that way, because I feel like the real streams, like the like maybe not ETR, stochastic, it's always like single camera, change back the shot. But you called me out immediately for trying to produce the show.
No, trust me. I know it's optimal to do. It is good to keep things fresh. So I am pro screen changes. In a perfect world, we would have a producer, Spags, who would just do it all for us, and we could just draft and be funny and bicker with each other as the only thing we need to worry about.
I like producing the shows. Like, it was obviously hard in the beginning, but I think once you ramp up enough, like, it is kind of a skill. Like, I'm sometimes not looking in the camera the way I'd like to be, but I enjoy having the control in this part, though. We should talk about that announcement after my pick, but we are going to change up our schedule starting next week. A little bit of a change, and let me make my pick first. I have been streaming wide receivers so far. Now that is looking not optimal. Gosh, this is a tough pocket. I feel like I'm just replicating something similar to your team yesterday, but I like Josh Jacobs more than Breece Hall. I think the Izzy Abanikanda draft is not a great sign for Breece being full go, getting a full bell cow workload. So I will take a true bell cow and Josh Jacobs instead.
Yeah, I've been passing. I'm still going to get my Breece Hall exposure this summer, I promise you, but I do think I'm going to get cheaper Breece Hall. So I'm going to, in the big board, I was taking him around the 2-3 turn. I do think, the stuff about Izzy, the rumors about, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think those are meaningful data points. And until we get more updates about his health, and there's just going to be a little bit more uncertainty now around that. And I think drafters will push Breece Hall down accordingly. And so I'll get some cheaper shares of Breece Hall when he falls to the end of the third, early fourth.
I do have to say, we had Pat Carane to talk about Breece Hall's ADP a little while ago, and I feel like some of those things are starting to come true. So I'll take the one victory there, and Pat can have his $2 million. Pete, what's your pick?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take a running back here. I guess I'm just gonna fucking value hound Derrick Henry, man. We're just gonna go so high T here, Bijan and Derrick Henry.
I like that. I mean, I think Derrick Henry's job is pretty safe. Like, Tyjae Spears is at least not the exact same thing. But, Pete, again, he doesn't have an ACL. So is he going to be able to play? I don't know. But he'll be able to play. But it's like, I just think Derrick Henry's role, like, Tyjae Spears can't take 25 touches a game. He can't take 10 touches a game. Henry is going to be that guy, because they've clearly committed again on offensive line and defense the way that only the Titans do, where they don't care about catching passes, only just running that ball time and time again.
Yeah, I'm like less worried about a Henry age cliff than I am just systemic risk for the offense just being super shitty, and it's like, if they're down in all these games, like, you can't have Derrick Henry run the ball 25 times a game. So you're basically betting on some just like basic competency from the offense, which feels dicey. But yeah, I guess I'm just not going to overthink it. I'm not going to have a lot of Henry shares. So if I'm going to get him 7 picks past ADP, that's going to be when I get my exposure.
He's pretty cheap. Like, I kind of feel like Derrick Henry, as it seems like the public does about like Dalvin Cook, where it's like they see it and it's like, whoa, this guy was a first rounder last year. I'll take him at 57 or whatever. And I get that, even though I think, Cook's going to get cut probably by the Vikings to save some money. But like, Henry, I think, is locked into his role. I agree the Titans could be bad, but they're going to have Tannehill back out there, better offensive line. So I think he's kind of cheap for what he is.
God, I'm still not, I'm waiting for more of a Walker discount. And I don't want to start with these 3 running backs. I'm just going to live a little. And I just don't like this like Hopkins Kirk stuff here. I'm going to go Christian Watson.
I like Watson a lot. I reach for Watson sometimes. I think he's a little undervalued as the guy who's clearly going to be the 1A weapon for Green Bay this year. So I don't hate it. And DeAndre Hopkins, we've talked enough about, but I'm just not a Cardinals believer, and I don't think it's going to get better for him anytime soon.
Yeah, and what I didn't was there a I haven't even watched the video clip yet, but there's something with him strongly inferring he's going to be returning to Arizona this year. What was
I
that the nature of the clip?
Yeah, I saw something about it too. I didn't look at it either, but I think, it just seems like a bad situation for him where, maybe he goes back, but he's not practicing and playing fully. I think there's certainly some ways that can go poorly. I am on the clock here, though. I do not have any logical correlations. George Kittle falls a lot. Let's see. You know what? Let's just take Jerry. I literally think I am drafting your team besides the Tyreek swap, but I am taking Jerry Jeudy here.
Was this the one I did the other day?
I think because I was just watching your stream right before the show, and I think this is your best ball breakfast team besides you taking Kelsey first.
Wow. So you're already duping me. We already have to worry about combinatorial ownership and uniqueness fucking 3 days into the tournament. I am glad. It is wild, Spags, that we're already at 3% filled, like on this massive tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've technically done 1/15 of my shares, so I'm ahead of, I guess, the overall collective pace. But people's enthusiasm is high, and it's fun to draft best ball teams. And I think people think they can maybe beat some ADPs now. And I get it; like you should draft later if you want to have guys active for week 17. But in terms of getting values, like Chase Brown's not going to be a 198 guy for very long.
Yeah, I agree. I also agree with Mookie in the chat, just saying in general, the fourth round feels a little gross. It feels like you're either like taking some quote unquote ADP values. I guess the quote unquote part is the values part, or you're kind of reaching for guys that you think should be there. That's how I feel about like the DJ Moore, Christian Watson guys that I kind of prefer to the Mike Williams of the world. That's actually a good question for you. How are you thinking about Mike Williams as it pertains to the Quentin Johnston landing spot there?
I think he's still safe. I think he should probably come down a little bit, but I've kind of felt that since Keenan Allen wasn't going to be a cap casualty. So I might not be the most unbiased source, but I think it's a positive for him to have another guy who can be outside and kind of create different dimensions at different like lengths of the field, whereas he's just kind of going to be a pure deep ball guy, I'd assume. So I don't hate it, even though collectively there's going to be less volume. Like there's still going to be more than there was last year because the offensive coordinator upgrade. We're on the clock, or I'm on the clock again. Keenan Allen doesn't do it because I did pass on the Chargers stack. Aaron Jones, this feels pretty early. Don't want another running back. I am going to take Terry McLaurin. I don't mind Miles Sanders there, Pete, but I got Josh Jacobs. I don't think I need another running back this early.
I'm pretty sure I took Terry McLaurin on Monday too. I don't know if it was, I might be mixing up the two drafts, but I know I had one share of Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I think Terry McLaurin's a nice value pick here, and he's surrounded by a bunch of older guys. Like you got Allen, I guess Smith and Jigba, who still feels a little too frothy. So I don't mind McLaurin. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Den, how much of you guys drafting early is prioritizing being able to max this? I literally, I have no choice. I can only draft BBM4 teams on stream. So I absolutely have to pace myself or I'm screwed. So that's where that is coming at from my perspective here.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see, man. I just do not like this price for Miles Sanders here. I see him. Let's just get some fucking Kyle Pitts, man. I mean, like, what are we even doing here? Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Arthur Smith taking me to the promised land. What could go wrong?
Oh my God. See, I think Miles Sanders is still a good pick. Like, I believe in Carolina being able to win the South. They're going to be kind of a defensive-y team that I think will be game managing with Bryce Young mostly. So, and I think Sanders too is going to be closer. You take Chuba Hubbard a lot. I don't think the Chuba role is going to be what you want it to be. At least I don't think that's the most likely outcome.
Why?
Because I think he's on the fringe of not being on the team, and it's a new coaching staff too. But they paid Miles Sanders the best free agency deal. I think he's going to be a 3-down back, and he's a better pass catcher than I think Philly gave him credit for.
See, I completely disagree because they were employing like a 3 running back committee last year with Foreman,
new coaching staff.
Chuba, and Blackshear. Sure, but no team. I would be shocked if Miles Sanders is getting 20 plus touches a game. This seems like a team that's going to establish it on the ground. They're going to use multiple backs. Yeah, I think Chuba is a great price.
I think that when you have a new coaching staff come in, and Frank Reich, I think, has in his Colts stint, like obviously kind of got a little weird last year, but who did he rely on? Jonathan Taylor getting 20 to 25 touches. I think you're going to see that be kind of the same thing for Miles Sanders, especially given what they paid him. But contingent value and all that's still there too.
Let's see here. What do I want to do? Probably gonna go with my guy. Yeah, I do not like this range here. I'm gonna grab another wide receiver. I'm gonna grab Marquise Brown
Okay, yeah. I don't have a single share of Marquise Brown, I think, in anything so far this season.
by choice or by
Yeah,
accident.
I just don't. I have done over 100 drafts, including the big board ones. I just don't like the Cardinals. I don't buy that they are going to be a team that's full effort all year long, because I still personally believe they go 2-6 to start the year, and then it's like, oh, Kyler's recovery is not coming along as fast, and then it's just kind of a wasted year.
I think I'm more worried about the wasted year stuff with like if Hopkins stays there and him and Kyler and stuff like that. But I think Marquise Brown is, barring injury, is going to be on the field a ton and be their top target earner. So, it's kind of like the whole Brandon Cooks thing every year where it's not a sexy pick. You don't want, the best player on a shitty team. It doesn't feel good, but I still like Marquise Brown a lot.
All right, I don't love anything in this pocket at running back. And again, I feel okay at running. You know what? This might be controversial here, especially in a room that's steaming wide receivers. I'm going to take Rachaad White. Oh, no, never mind. I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence. I timed out. Did it, Pete?
Wow. An unstacked?
Yeah, just want to get a share of Trevor
Wow.
Lawrence.
These idiot fucking streamers, bro.
Well, here's the thing, Pete. A little bit of a value hounding for Trevor Lawrence, right? He has a 55.8 ADP. Got him 12 and a half picks after ADP. Ow, indeed. Ow, indeed.
Wow. Impressive stuff. Trust me. Hey, it's a rite of passage to have your first. I assume you haven't had any auto draft picks in the comfort of your own home. It's just the bright lights.
I might have had one when I was double tabling over the weekend, but I think I might have auto drafted one, but not quite as egregious as this one where I had no interest in Trevor Lawrence at the spot, and now I'll get him. But I guess you can't argue with Trevor Lawrence.
No, and you'll have you have two kind of targets. Well, you have three, right? You got Ingram, you got Zay Jones, and you could do a team thing with Bigsby, are like some of your backdoor Jags options.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. So we should talk about the announcement real fast. So this is going to be a big change, and Pete can certainly drive the majority of this here, but I know Pete is going to be shifting his schedule around in response. Splash Play will shift its schedule around. So Tuesdays at 10 a.m. will be the spot. Now, starting next week, we're going to have one more Friday stream coming up here at 12 p.m. Then we're switching once a week for Pete and I. And Pete, we are going to go back to back here. One home and home, some could say. One show on your channel, one show here on Splash Play, and they will both count in your big BBM bucket.
Yep. In order to accomplish my goal of 150 streamed teams, I'm going to have to ramp up the drafting. And so I'm going to try to be adding consistency of 10 a.m. most days. We will be drafting teams. And so Splash Play back to back, one on my channel, directly followed by one on Splash Play. So on this channel, probably be around, somewhere between 10:45 to 11 on Tuesdays. But you will get 2 back-to-back Splash Play drafts every Tuesday throughout the summer. Fun will be had. I can't wait.
Yeah, and then next week also I will be starting my stack quest. I don't know if that's the official branding, but my quest to accumulate all the stacks in the NFL one by one. I'll be doing those on Friday.
Except Arizona. Are you gonna skip that one?
That'll be an episode I won't enjoy, but I'll certainly step up to the plate and do it. I am on the clock though. Darren Waller falling. I think David Montgomery's okay here. Doesn't really excite me. Is Ingram going to come back to me is the bigger question. I think Ingram's a better pick than Waller anyway. I'm still going to take Ingram.
I think with the tiebreaker there, you got to go Ingram.
So one thing I will say, not to bully Liam again, given that we called him for his YouTube headline.
There's one person in this best ball community we're allowed to mercilessly bully. Everyone else, we need to be respectful. Like, we are absolutely allowed to bully Liam. Continue.
So he was going to draft Darren Waller in his stream that was going on. Might be still going on against us right now. He's going to draft Darren Waller, and he's like, I'm trying to do an NFC East build. Oh, somebody took Waller. Oh, Dallas Goedert. I don't like him. And just didn't take Dallas Goedert, who is unequivocally every advanced analytic, the best tight end in football last year. Obviously, volume is going to knock stuff around or whatever. Dallas Goedert's amazing. Darren Waller is old in a low volume pass offense. And it infuriated me, Pete, in a way that I am not often infuriated.
Man, Liam is on one these days. The new kind of heel turn from like, I'm just vibes, I'm just the chiller, to like, please fucking subscribe to my channel. I'm begging you. I'm absolutely begging you. It's quite the turn for Liam these days.
Well, that said, I certainly wouldn't mind if you subscribe to Splash Play here. Hit the like button. Our march to 2,000 subs is going on at the same time, so please join us here. As Pete, you are on the clock.
Yeah. This still feels like, God, This feels like a wide receiver range for me. Deontay Johnson or Jordan Addison. I gotta preach or practice what I preach. These rookies, I think, are all going to get generally more expensive. So I'll grab some more Addison shares now until he creeps up a bit more.
Deontay Johnson just never makes you feel good when you pick him. Like it never feels
It,
like, I got him. What a value. Even though like he's probably more due for positive touchdown regression than anybody in the league.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I know. I'm not full fading Deontay Johnson by any means, but I am just going to try to I'm really going to break any ties in favor of rookies right now, just with the overall thought they're all going to get generally more expensive.
I'd also much rather have Pickens at 67 than Johnson at 82, as just happened in this draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both of those guys ultimately are going to live and die by how Kenny Pickett, performs this year, where it's like, I think both those guys could have great years if Kenny Pickett takes a leap. And if not, it will be a very frustrating year.
I think it's also like I wrote it up again for Football Outsiders. I really please go check that article out because I legit spent 4 hours writing it. I don't, these fingers don't get a lot of work these days in typing wise, at least. And did dust it out there. But I think it all comes down to like, is the offensive coordinator going to put him in a spot to succeed? And he's going to get fired if he doesn't. So I think like you got to kind of err on the lower probability outcome, which is Pittsburgh being like a gunslinging team.
Sorry, Spags, you blew your load on Trevor Lawrence, and so I had to get Tua for my Jalen Waddle. No Tua for you.
No, that's fair. I mean, look, Tua, we all know he was almost retired. Trevor Lawrence is looking as youthful and spry as ever. So you got to take the guy whose brain is bleeding as we speak.
Wait, I haven't seen the name Joshua Frick in the chat in forever. Is it me, Spags, or is our boy Joshua? Has he been away for a while?
He's back. I think he felt like I had been mean to him. So I apologize to Joshua if that's the case. Joshua just kept referencing things I wasn't quite clear on. So either way, glad to see the regulars back, including our pal Joshua, who's made headlines, Pete, on this stream, showing off his titties while doing the Underdog Cardio Club.
Wait, you heard? Was there a mediation that I needed to do between Spags and Josh? Did I miss this? Come on,
No, it
Spags.
was just a little heavy in a way that reminded me of my Barstool days of being like, okay, like this is going to be too much.
Okay,
Not,
all right.
It happens.
All right. Well, this is, it's water under the bridge. Whatever happened between you two, we're gonna have a great summer, and glad we're back.
So I'm going to actually tie into your thesis here. I think Quentin Johnson's going to go higher over the course of the summer. I'm going to take him now because I didn't take Mike Williams before, and I want a little taste of that Chargers offense.
Got to get a little taste. Just wet the beak.
Hey, got to wet the beak here. We saw his nipple. Yes.
I did load in the ETR rankings into my applet because I just wanted to see, and it is interesting. Like they had Quentin Johnston buried in a way where it's like ETR subs will not get any Quentin Johnston because they have like Jacoby Myers and Juju ahead of him. So I don't know about that one. I definitely don't agree there. I also know Pat just released his best ball rankings that you can upload to the site as well. So maybe I'll have to give those a spin too.
Yeah, I have to give an update on mine, but mine aren't exportable, so it doesn't matter anyway. And it's tough because like I get why Leone would land on it, just knowing how the rankings work. Like I presume they're working largely off the projections, and if you project last year's Chargers offense with another body and kind of the volume they were doing, like you can't really account for Kellen Moore's change. So I get how that could happen, but I would agree. Like I'd be pissed if I were paying for a sub and I just don't get one player.
Yeah. And that's why too, in general, I just like the reason it's tough, right? Is in general, like as the summer goes on, I do prefer to just draft off of ADP and kind of know, hey, this is what most of my opponents are looking at. But right now, I actually kind of want something that's thrusting up the rookies like a round or two. It just making sure, because if you do just go off ADP right now, there's going to be some of these guys that are buried. And then you look back and you're like, okay, yeah, still reaching around ahead of ADP for them. I still think there's plenty of meat on the bone. And so those are the spots I'm trying to hit right now.
I just don't think there's possibly a way Quentin Johnston comes down unless he just like doesn't show up to camp and Josh Palmer's running ahead of him, which does not seem like the most likely to me. I am on the clock here though. All right. We've gotten a lot of players that would be interesting here. Richardson went at 98. This is just now too good of a value for Jameson Williams, I think.
101. What 101? Yeah. Because that was, we talked about it, right? Whereas like right when you get to that Juju, Jacoby Myers range, that's about where I think Jameson starts to make sense, which is exactly where we're at right now.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really have to. I've actually been trying to adhere more to a thing you talked about, the 5 wide receivers in 10 rounds, and keep that where I am. So I didn't necessarily need to get a 6th one here. But if Jameson Williams is going to fall and I feel pretty cozy at the position, I feel like I could take a guy who's not going to play for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Let's see here. Wow, Max loves Chris's team. What's your team? Service the Spags. Are you going to get back to posting the audio version of these? You've been posting ours, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, you're on the clock.
I'm going to go ahead. I have Jordan Addison. I'm going to take Kirk Cousins. I'm going to get that stack. Kirk slides 8 picks past ADP. And we'll just get that stack there. I definitely had some backdoor stacks available if I wanted to do Ritter with Pitts, if I want to do Jordan Love with Christian Watson, those with Kyler. Is Kyler still available? Yeah. So there were some options there, but I'm going to go ahead and rock with Kirk Cousins.
How do you feel about the Richardson spot with him going 98? Because he's now come up. He was in the 120s. Now he's got an ADP of, he might still be in the 120s. Let me just double check here. But he's starting to come up enough. I feel like top 100 is right, but it does feel like he could maybe go. He's got a 108.6 ADP right now. I feel like I could feel comfortable taking him into the 70s, maybe 60s. Is that incorrect?
Comfortable, I don't know. Will he end up there? I definitely can see it. And it's a good reminder that I need to start getting some Anthony Richardson now because it's going to be very hard to get him later.
I will also make the take too. Pete's on the clock here, but stack them up. Don't just take them naked. Take them with Pittman, take them with Pierce, take them with Josh Downs, rather, take them with Jelani Woods. With Taylor, like just don't. I see people unstacking him a lot, and I think that's an incorrect move because he is going to pass better than other reports are. And you take Samaje Perine, who's got no competition for the number 2 job in Denver.
Yeah, and I mean it could be no competition for the number 1 job, right? Depending on how things go with Javonte Williams. So the Samaje just feels like such a comfy click to me because there's a ton of outs. There is Javonte Williams just isn't ready. There is, he is getting a ton of pass catching work. There's, he just has a standalone role and they're using these guys almost interchangeably at times. And so I think there's just a ton of different ways that Perine gets there. And to your point about new regimes, I mean, Sean Payton and these guys, I think do really like Perine, and we're pretty excited to add him.
Does Harris's pie get smaller? Because you know what? A-Chain's coming up. I'm just going to grab A-Chain here, but I worry about Harris's pie getting a little smaller because of the Bills also signing Latavius Murray, and those guys are kind of the same thing to me at this point in their careers.
Yeah. I think
like Murray's going to be free, and Harris has gotten steamed up a lot. So I think maybe taking some Murray shares kind of makes sense.
It's so interesting, like kind of the A-Chain stuff, because this is really fueled exclusively by the landing spot. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. I mean, we know for running backs how important that is, but like all of the knocks from the dynasty community, even in the big board stuff, this guy's too small. There's just unprecedented for a guy like this to, succeed in the NFL at his size. And now he's on the Dolphins and everyone just like fucking blast off, baby. And I don't even think that's wrong per se. Like Kyle Shanahan, if he gets this guy 12 to 15 touches a game in this offense, it could be very, very fun for fantasy. But it is just funny how people have done a 180 on how they feel about him.
Well, I think it's mostly the thing that jumped out to me about this being an ideal landing spot for him is A, because we know the Dolphins are this high pass rate over expectation team. B, we know that Mostert and Wilson get banged up a lot and we're playing for week 17. And then C, A-Chain is the same kind of runner as Mostert, where it's like plant, one cut, you go. Like that's a thing that I think is a positive for him, where if he landed somewhere that tried to ask him to do too much, I think that's where he would fail. But I think if he's coming into Miami and getting potentially 15 really like efficient touches, that's where I think his biggest upside is. So I don't mind reaching, even though I agree. Like if you took him in the big board, you were probably doing pretty well right now.
Is this Zay Jones territory for you, Spags?
Probably has to be, right?
He's not coming back to you.
Get a lot of questions about the Celtics game too, by the way.
Yeah. It was, the Garden was just absolutely deflated. Back-to-back nights of just getting kicked in the dick there. It was watching Harden play was very, very fun. He was just absolutely lights out. And I don't watch a lot of NBA basketball, so I'm sure my takes are very, passe for people who do. But just like how lethargic and lazy he plays, and yet being so good is just like incredible. It really, like, there would be times like he'd be on the other end of the court, just like walking up while his team plays 4-on-5. Then he gets the ball and just nails a 3 in somebody's face. And it's just like the game comes way, way too easy to him.
And you probably saw the best version too, because I mean, I know you're not like a huge basketball head, but for the guys who like, we have a lot of people who care about basketball and underdog and all that in the chat. Like usage is like the whole thing. Like you lose 35 touches a game that go to Joel Embiid. It's just like Harden's going to look great because he's going to get, half of those 35 touches. So you probably saw the best James Harden that people have seen besides like Embiid games being out like over the last 2 seasons, maybe 3.
And it did make me wonder if there's an element of the way the Sixers play, where it is like, even though Embiid is so dominant and so good, that it's just slightly less efficient offense, right? You're slowing down the game, getting the ball in the post. Last night, they were just chucking threes. Maxey was hitting. They were playing super fast in a way I don't think they're able to play with Embiid. And it might, again, like without Embiid, do they have a chance of going far? No. But in some of these like 1 or 2 game samples, you could argue that they play even better as far as like what is GTO basketball.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. When you lose a star player, you shoot threes. Like that's why watch March Madness. It's just all the shitty teams gunning from 3 because analytically you want to embrace the variance there. And I think it's the same thing for best ball. Like to tie it all together, best ball should be you shooting a lot of threes and trying to line up these guys. So that's why A-Chain works where he does. That's why getting values on the rookies. It's just all about trying to land yourself in the optimal spot for when it really matters. So there we go, Pete. Beautiful broadcasting.
Beautiful broadcast. I did take KJ Osborne. I feel like he should probably be going at a little bit more of a discount with Addison there, but with my Kirk Cousins, like Cousins is not a guy I just want a single stack. I don't have Hawkinson. I don't have Jefferson. So I do want to pair Osborne with Addison and just try to capture some of the spike weeks there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Osborne, we know, was a big play guy. I kind of see him and Addison is kind of alternating the big weeks where Jefferson isn't fully going off, but definitely an offense that, I mean, they didn't make enough improvements that you're going to be like, oh, Kirk Cousins is going to lose the job. Like they didn't draft Hendon Hooker. They drafted a guy who's not ready at all at QB. So Cousins is now locked in and his ADP should probably come up because there's no risk of him losing that job.
Yeah. Geez, are there any of these rookies that I should be going and grabbing here? Let's see.
Your favorite, Roschon Johnson.
I know. You know what? One guy I continue to grab that I think is going to go up. I'm going to go ahead and grab Kendre Miller.
I love Kendre Miller. I thinking through it, I just think him playing on turf, the situation with Kamara, and also the Saints not even liking Kamara last year. They were playing so much Mark Ingram down the stretch. Miller to me is a guy where by week 17, if he's not seeing the lion's share of work, something has gone wrong.
Yeah. And again, I think about guys that have lots of outs there too. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think why isn't Kendre Miller going higher, right? Because Kamara is most likely going to miss at least 6 games, right? That's kind of like the default thing. We know Jamal Williams is never going to be a 20 plus touch a game guy. I mean, couldn't Kendre Miller just be in like a 12 to 15 touch split with Jamal Williams, like right out of the gate?
I think so. I mean, I'm there. Yeah. And I think the same for Roschon Johnson. I think Roschon Johnson is now the best back in Chicago. So I'm actually on board with the Roschon's team.
I mean, the way that Chicago's talking about him, I definitely buy it. I mean, what would they say? He was going to play a little quarterback for them too.
He was a quarterback, despite being because he was a large man. He was a quarterback, I think, in high school or maybe the beginning of college too. But yeah, he's like the best pass protector they probably have now, even though Herbert, I'm sure, can get out of routes better. But Roschon, the thing I will say that I mentioned a lot during the draft process that I thought would kind of pour it over to him getting a role right away. He is the one guy in this class that can move that pile. Like Bijan did it kind of similarly, but Roschon against 8-man boxes with electric and pretty much every run play, same EPA, same missed tackle rate as Bijan. So I think there's something to unearth there, even if, from day one, like he's probably a plotter, but he's also a guy that like in July could come into camp and wow everybody and win the job. And then he's going, top 75.
Yeah. Spags scrolls down on this draft board for us.
Okay. We're still in the round clock. We're okay.
No, I know. I like seeing the board though. The picks are coming down here.
Oh, fair enough.
The chat is just very impressed with you passing on Tyler Algier twice.
I mean, yeah, well, I guess that I have learned some discipline. I told people here, like, we've been having fun with the big board drafts. I cut loose in the big board drafts. For BBM, I do try to play with some idea of exposures and guys' pockets and all that. So people think it's all fun and games, Pete, just because I'm wearing a silly hat. But this is the $3 million hat here. This is where we draft some winning teams.
I completely forgot you were wearing your silly hat, Spags. I didn't even strike me as silly. I just thought that was just an extension of your personal brand.
It is. The money signs have been there. Even on, I did the Stochastic NFL draft show on Friday, and Neil at the end had me, Neil Orfield, of course, great DFS player, does a good job over at Stochastic. It was like, oh, you got to put the money hat on, right? I'm like, I guess I got to do my one shtick I did in the 90s on a sitcom. I'm like BoJack Horseman coming back and doing some horsing around bits.
There you go.
Which I wouldn't hate being BoJack, Pete. I don't know if you watched BoJack, but
I did. Yeah. It's
okay.
good. It's a great show.
Would be hard to pass on Tyler Algier coming up here, huh?
Yeah, sure would, Spags. I mean, this would pretty much destroy the brand. If you're not taking him at pick 149, rumors are going to start to spread that you're completely out on Tyler Algier because you're terrified of Bijan.
Well, here's the bad news, guys. It's a new Spags in town, and he's reaching for CJ Stroud instead.
Wow. Do you have anyone on Houston yet, or are you just raw dogging?
No, I'm getting them late. I'll get my Mechie, I'll get my Nico, maybe Singletary. There's a lot of guys for Houston you can get late, Pete, which is why I love Stroud.
Newsflash, your Nico's gone.
Well, fuck Nico. Nico's the worst part of it anyway. Yeah. Nico went. Where did Nico go?
Like 3 picks ahead of you. Beginning of the round.
Oh, shit. He went in the 13th round. That's foolish. Mechie's a better player than Nico.
Well, I hope someone snipes you on Mechie.
I hope. Pete, could you imagine if I had the week 17 nuts, a Houston-Jacksonville matchup with no defense at all being played on either side?
Sounds wonderful. I'm also going to quote unquote reach for a rookie who I feel pretty confident this guy's going to end up in like the 10th, 11th round, and that's Rashee Rice. I mean, if we were doing fucking Sky Moore in the 7th, I mean, Rashee Rice at 153, like, yes, Sky Moore on paper was a bit better of a prospect, but the draft capital, the spot, it's all there. I'm definitely going to get some shares of Rice at these prices.
So I would push back. I don't think Sky Moore was a better prospect. I think he might have tested a little better athletically, but in terms of like what he does, Rashee Rice had a 38% target per out run rate in college. Like he was being targeted a lot. Granted, he was playing at SMU, so he didn't play any real guys. But like he was targeted as like a monster player. He had over 115 receiving yards per game. So I think there's a ceiling Rashee Rice has that if people are spooked by Sky Moore and like, oh, Rashee's a new Sky Moore, great, take Rashee Rice because I think he's already better than Sky Moore.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like we have so much data on Sky Moore that the black box of Rashee Rice and the draft capital that the team put behind him is certainly worth kicking the tires on here. I mean, don't you think he just ends up being like a 10th, 11th round pick by like BBM close?
I think so. I think he should. Yeah, people also, I think the debate in the chat too, Sky was better. Sky had a better name profile. Yeah, Sky, honestly, Rashee Rice is a cool name too, but Sky was a slightly cooler name. But yeah, I just think that I looked at the college numbers and I saw Rashee Rice being on a different tier, and you are getting leverage against my Devin A chain with Jeff Wilson.
I just took what I'm guessing is going to be my last running back. Went ahead and grabbed Jeff Wilson. Not much else I want to do with Miami beyond Waddle, but I have been, again, the thesis. I want shares of A-Chain, Mostert, and Wilson. I'll be sprinkling those guys in. And right now, Wilson is just the cheapest of those guys. And so with my Miami bet, with kind of the uncertainty in that backfield, I want to be taking stabs at all of those guys.
Yeah, Algier goes there, so don't worry. I will not have a share of him today. Carr is falling so much, and I don't think that's necessarily correct. Can I get... No, hold on. Where am I picking again? Who's going to fall? I'm going to reach for Singletary here, and we'll see what I get back, just because I do want to get a Stroud, another stack partner for Stroud, and Singletary, I think, will be the pass game back no matter what happens.
You didn't you say Singletary was already your highest exposed player?
He is, and I'm going to keep taking him, I think, until he comes at least where Algier goes. Like, I think Singletary is so undervalued because people like, oh, Dameon Pierce is the guy. I will bet a good amount of money that the new coaching staff there falls in love with Singletary and what he does. We'll find out, though, in July, but I think right now Singletary is really undervalued.
Yeah, I like Singletary.
I am intrigued. Although, I'm hoping one of the running back falls, but we'll see. Chase Brown going 170.
All right, are you you got to grab your boy Tank, right?
I mean, is he going to catch passes?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, there's not much else to work with your Jacksonville stack.
I have a double already, though.
You do?
Yeah, I got Zay and Nick.
Oh, you got Zay. Okay, yeah, I forgot about the Zay pick.
Yeah, I reached for Zay. Took him in an ETR approved level, so we're good there. See, I was going to take Jalen Warren, but now I think I do have to take Tank because it just makes more sense. All right, Tank it is.
I thought you were aren't you a Tank bull?
No, I'm anti-Tank.
Oh, I couldn't remember. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I've
you
come
were the
around
one
though, because I think he is now what I thought. So people thought Dearness Johnson was going to be that guy. I said, no, Snoop Connor should be that guy. Instead, Tank Bigsby is that guy who just pulls ATN down. Taekwon, God.
I was going to take Taekwon if he fell to me.
I was going through some of the Taekwon numbers because I heard you talking about him on Best Ball Breakfast. He was really not good in advanced analytics last year. I know that doesn't matter in volume, blah, 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 but I would bank on Juju over Taekwon. I know the ADPs aren't close, but I think Juju is going to get a lot more than Taekwon does.
Yeah, I don't think their stuff is mutually exclusive. They're going to be used completely differently. And I'm going to grab another Green Bay wide receiver. Not going to get the stack with Jordan Love because he's long gone, but I'm going to keep grabbing rookies and do Jaden Reed here. Similar second round draft capital there with Rashee Rice, another guy who I think could jump up a couple of rounds. I mean, Pat Thorman had a good thread about him. Little target competition added. I'm talking about Tyquan Thornton, only wide receiver in ADP range with a legit shot to lead team in targets. Should actually be healthy. Bill O'Brien, offensive monster upgrade on 2022 Circus. So yeah, I think the draft just broke really, really nicely for Tyquan. I mean, it'd be like saying you're not taking Tyquan because of Jacoby Myers. I mean, they just swapped out Jacoby Myers with Juju. So I think that stuff isn't directly tied.
That's fair. They still have Parker though, which I guess he's, I think, a June 1st guy who could potentially be on the way out. Which would be an inhibitor because I think Parker, I know he's getting old, but Parker's still a big bodied guy who can play in the boundaries, and Tyquan hasn't shown that yet, but I get it. I think he's one of those guys that needs to settle a little bit higher. Like Rashad White needs to settle a little bit higher. Just the guys who kind of won the draft, I guess.
We got rookie fever, Spags. We are going crazy with rookies. Now add Marvin Mims here.
I also want to defend my name from BSP. I do not have Snoop Connor bags. I barely drafted Snoop Connor. It was just more about a theoretical play when people were going hammering Dearness Johnson. I just thought that was an incorrect one. We are on the clock here, though. Nothing left for Houston because Mechie went a little bit earlier than he probably normally does. I'm going to go with the guy that I just want to get my shares up on now, Irv Smith, before people realize he's the only Bengals tight end there. And he's got a pedigree and a big body and is a pass catcher. I like Irv Smith at this point, Pete, with just a low ADP.
Yeah, I mean, someone had mentioned this in my comments, and I kind of agree where the times I feel comfortable taking Irv Smith are stacked with Joe Burrow. I don't know if I'm going to do a lot of unstacked Irv Smith unless I have like a team bet around Cincinnati, but definitely has some upside.
I don't mind taking Irv solo just because if he is good, you are going to get away. Like the main thing for me is how are you going to possibly get leverage on the Chase and Higgins teams as well as early Burrow teams. So if like somehow Irv Smith has one of those Evan Ingram games that Ingram had last year, then maybe Irv Smith is a way to get different from a field where perhaps, a lot of people advance with Chase and Higgins.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fucking Tank Dell goes. This room, I got to say, Pete, I know it's obviously a splash play room, even though we started the stream or started the room right before the stream. Wide receivers are going really early in this room more than they usually do in the drafts I've done so far.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I don't have enough drafts under my belt yet to have a super good feel for the rooms. I will say, compared to my best ball breakfast streams, I didn't have any chance at these rookies. And now I've been actually able to get a few of them in this room.
Well, it's like Marvin Jones at 169, Dell at Tank Dell at 191. Unless that person, MTM Revolts, I think is in our chat perhaps. So maybe he took Dell just to spite me. It does feel like though Marvin Jones going in the 15th round is not something I have seen at any point.
Yeah, you got to go get your guys.
Marvin Jones is one of those guys you got to go get. All right. I'm on.
What do you think? Yeah, you're at a 2572. I'm at a 2581. I was just checking in on my structure.
Yeah, I think I need one more running back, though. Who that is at this point? Not feeling great about any of the guys in this range. I did make a bet. No, this kind of feels like a 3 tight end build too. Clock ticking. I'm going to get a share of Izzy here. Why not?
I like it. So you're going to end up with what? You're going to end up with a 7th running back or an 8th wide receiver?
I've been trying to cap at 6 running backs, so I think I'm going to go there. Jacobs I took early enough. I've been trying to actually do what Pat talked about on your Saturday stream of like being mindful of the overall draft capital and all that. So I might take another wide receiver instead.
I just did on purpose what I accidentally did on Best Ball Breakfast, where I auto drafted Tyler Higbee like 30 spots past ADP. I don't even like Gerald Everett. I've been burned by him so much, but I'm going to go ahead and take him 35 spots past ADP as my second tight end here.
I think that makes sense. Nobody supplanted him, so it's hard to believe he's going to be a cap casualty. And they also got rid of Parham too, I think. So Everett's pretty much locked into a good role. He shouldn't go into 17th at this point.
Yeah. And now I need to figure out what am I going to do for my 18th pick. I think I have two options. I feel fine at running back with 5 with Bijan, Henry, P. Ryan, Kendre Miller, Jeff Wilson. I feel like my options are take a 9th wide receiver or just correlate Pitts with Ritter and go with a 3 QB build with Tua, Kirk, and Ritter. I'm just trying to see if there's any wide receivers that stand out to me, and I really am not seeing any I like. I mean, it truly looks pretty bad. I guess I could do Cedric Wilson as, why don't we do that? Let's
Berrios.
do, what?
Berrios?
I think I went Cedric Wilson. Yes, I think you could definitely make a case for Berrios over Cedric Wilson. But yeah, we're going to tack on and make sure we get that double stack with Tua. So now I have the like unpremium double stacks with both Tua and Kirk. No Tyreek, no Jefferson, no Hawkinson.
Oh, and Rojo goes there too, so he'll be off the clock. I will once quickly here, pander for subscribes and likes, guys. Appreciate all of you watching live. Of course, Pete and I drafting teams here every week. We talked about the new Tuesday schedule. We will have a stream coming up on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern as well, where we will be drafting head-to-head against each other again. So please come back then, and we appreciate all of you here. Fantasy football all year round here on Splash Play, and if you are getting new to the world of best balls, a lot of people are for Best Ball Mania 4. I'll do our best to give you the best information possible. I'm digging deep for my 18th rounder, Pete. A player that people don't even know is on Houston, but he's their only big receiver who they drafted this year. Xavier Hutchinson, come on down.
There you go. All right, let's recap the teams. And again, I'll do another reminder to be entered into the $1,500 giveaway for Road to 15K. This stream is eligible. Once the stream is over, you'll be able to leave comments below. Leave comments. No first bullshit. Spags, I know Spags as a content creator will engage with you in the comments. So comment in good faith, and Spags will have a lovely chat with you when this stream is over. But Spags, I ended up with a 2592 build here, Tua and Kirk Cousins. Or do you want? I don't want to stomp on. I know you like to do the disingenuous.
This is a nice one. Teams. I mean, if you want me to do the voice, we know it's fine. We're starting fresh here. We're starting fresh, and I got to load up your team anyway.
All right, Tua and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. Running backs, Bijan, Derrick Henry, Samaje Perine, Kendre Miller, Jeff Wilson. Feel good about that. Wide receivers, holy rookies. Jalen Waddle, Christian Watson, Marquise Brown, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, Rashee Rice, Jaden Reed, Marvin Mims, Cedric Wilson. And then tight ends, Kyle Pitts and Gerald Everett. Like draft capital spent wise, I feel good about kind of like my allocations to the positions.
Yeah, I think your wide receivers, you lost me a little bit on some of them, but overall, I think your team built pretty well, and certainly some nice mix of young guys in there. For my team, though, and you guys can vote if you want in the chat who picked the better team. Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud at QB, Josh Jacobs, Devin Achane, Roshan Johnson, Devin Singletary, Tank Bigsby, and Izzy Abanikanda at running back. Wide receiver, I got Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, Quentin Johnston, Jamison Williams, Zay Jones, and Xavier Hutchinson, a name you will not hear on many best ball streams. And then a tight end, Evan Ingram and Irv Smith. Who won this one? Spags all the way. That's the only vote I see.
Let me see your running backs again.
My running backs, very rookie heavy. Jacobs, Achane, Roshan, Singletary, Bigsby, Izzy.
Yeah. So you need a run back of what Josh Jacobs did last year. And let me see your quarterbacks again.
Lawrence and Stroud, which I realized I could have taken Carr now as he was falling because I have Olave, but didn't occur to me at the time, Pete. So I got CJ Stroud, who does excite me a little bit more.
Yeah. I would have maybe have considered a 3 QB build with Lawrence and Stroud, but I think it's close.
It feels like we're pretty tight here. Seems like about 3-4, 4-4 between us. So I'm not sure there's going to be a declarative winner here. I think we both built good teams, which I would say feels like a nice way to start BBM4.
Yeah, it was nice. Like my first few drafts, I was flying just by the seat of my pants, and I didn't really have enough time to scroll down and find some of the guys I like. So I appreciated you producing the show today. Allowed me to get my bearings a little bit more. I'm able to use a queue when I'm out here because people can't eavesdrop on my queue in the way they can when I'm streaming. So, you know what? This was a nice change of pace. Finally drafted a team very similar to one I would have drafted if I did it in the private of my own home.
And so, Pete, give the people a plug again, because I do think you are doing a unique thing. I know some streamers out there are streaming a lot of their teams, but you are the only man stepping up to plate and doing streams for every single one, which is why you're seeing that crawl down below. This is Pete's draft 5 out of 145 more to go.
Yeah. You know, we're on a good pace right now. What is that? If I do the math, we're a little over 3% of the way there. So yes, I will be streaming all 150 of my live streams. We can do the math, but a good chunk of those will end up being on Splash Play. And starting next week, we'll be doing our usual stream on Friday. We'll do another Best Ball Mania 4 draft. And then starting next week, you'll get Splash Play double headers. First draft on my channel, second draft immediately following on the Splash Play channel. Spags is going to be doing his Friday streams. It's going to be a great summer, Spags.
We're excited here. Of course, you know, we do the best we can to do this. I know Pete, one of the innovators in the space, and maybe doesn't get enough credit for it, but I'll give him the credit here, give him his flowers, because Pete has been grinding best ball as hard as anybody, and I'm excited to see what he does on stream, both with me and, of course, on all the content that I'll be watching as well on Pete's channel. So follow Pete at Peter Overzet. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And of course, subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment to get some entries into Pete's big giveaway that he's doing here across all of his BBM streams. And Pete, you're appearing on a Discord coming up next.
I am. Yep. We'll be hopping into the Fantasy Life Discord for some office hours. I did just write up an article for Fantasy Life, kind of looking at the structure. I'll be doing lots of pieces for them about BBM4 strategy through the summer, but this one was looking at the structure, the advancement rate stuff, as well as kind of how the regular season prize could or could not shift our thinking for drafting. So check that out. And if you want to come troll me or hang out in the Fantasy Life Discord, you can do so.
Yeah, and go check out my article on Football Outsiders too. 32 questions for all the fantasy teams, or for all the football teams in real life, but they're fantasy questions after the NFL draft. So check that out. And of course, footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. Help us out. We're still putting up quality info there, including the Spags rankings. Pete and I will be back on Friday at 12 p.m. We'll see you guys then. And of course, check out everything that Pete does in between then. We'll see you guys soon. Good luck.